This is the Yanks Go Yard podcast with Adam Weinrib and Thomas Carranante.
Welcome to the Yankees Go Yard podcast. I'm Adam Weinrib alongside Thomas Carranante. On last week's show to end the week, we gave the Blue Jays their flowers. We talked about how, hey, an impossible season from a lot of impossible pieces. A lot of players, not sure we'll ever see this again, but we did see it this year. And taking 2 games on the road, bouncing back from that 18-inning loss, that's about as impressive as it gets. So congratulations to the likely world champion Toronto Blue Jays. Did anything change in between this show and that show? Did the fan base that trolled us unreasonably all summer long end up with the most dramatic World Series Game 7 loss at home that I can recall, potentially the most painful individual game loss in any sport? Could that have happened over the weekend? Blue Jays lose, actually. So still plenty to be proud of in Toronto. Been weighing back and forth just how much we should be gloating given the fact that they did eliminate us in the ALDS. And the answer is a moderate amount. We're going to gloat a moderate amount. We're going to talk to the fan base that would not let sleeping dogs lie. We're going to talk to them about why, you got to finish the job if you're going to be as obnoxious as they were. You have the right to beat your chest. You do whatever you want. Your team can celebrate, anti-Yankees as the first defining rule of your celebration, and then pro your team is the second defining rule. You can do that, but in this day and age, you really kind of got to win the whole thing if you don't want to hear a little bit of retribution in the aftermath. And so that's where we're going to go. We also just have to talk about the historic game, the Dodgers becoming a genuine dynasty. What part of this was the most painful portion? We're not exactly pro-Dodgers either, folks. There's a lot of anti-Dodger sentiment. We wish we were them, but we're not. They are going home 2 titles in a row, first repeat champion since the 99-2000, and technically the 98-99-2000 Yankees. They still have one more to add. They want to, because they made it very clear that they're coming for that three-peat. They're coming for the dynastic Yankees. They are the first dynasty we have seen since the 90s Yankees, unless you count the 12 years of 4 Red Sox titles as something. I don't know what that. The most annoying part about that is the lack of connective tissue. That's not a dynasty. It's just all these freaking individual championships, which stinks. But the Dodgers are the Yankees. I'm not exactly a Miggy Rojas fan. I cannot believe how prominently he factored in to this World Series. Does anything change as we head towards the offseason, which, by the way, officially, here we are today. The opt-outs are happening. The trade rumors are flying. Potential Yankees targets are hitting the board. The GM meetings are next week. We'll talk about it all. Thomas Carranante. When the Yankees lost Game 5 last year of the World Series, nobody was worse to me than Blue Jays fans. It sounds crazy, right? Because the Dodgers actually won that game in that series. The Red Sox are historically our chief rival. Blue Jays fans had the most to say about it. And so I want to be the bigger man. Like, I'm not going to go directly into Blue Jays fans' mentions and tweet for days, or screen grabs of the scoreboard, or Miggy Rojas pictures, or like somebody last year pinned a tweet to his personal account predicting that Juan Soto would go to the Dodgers. He added me and he pinned his own tweet. I'm not going to do that because I live in a house, not a padded cell in a hospital. But I do think Toronto Blue Jays fans have been asking for a come up. It's more than they think they have been. We talked about it in the last show about how they were still comparing Cam Schlittler to Trey Savage after Game 5 for no apparent reason. And we said, beating the Yankees was going to be a defining part of their World Series run regardless. But right now you have bigger fish to fry. And you have bigger fish to fry. In fact, your manager, the arrogant tomato himself, John Schneider, brought in Savage as a premature victory lap to pitch some relief in Game 7. And it didn't work. So the last time we saw Savage, it actually contributed to your team losing the World Series in heartbreaking fashion. Cam Schlittler sitting at home, sitting pretty. He trolled some Blue Jays fans in the aftermath with a video of an actor laughing, a little bit of laughing going on in the aftermath. I think Blue Jays fans are painting themselves as the innocent victims of this tragedy. They're a little more than that. And so are the players on the roster.
Agreed. I stay out of this. I think it's dangerous, dirty business.
It is. It's scary. Don't do it. I wish I wasn't in it. I'm not going to I promise I'm not going to wade into it. I'm an adult. I'm an adult.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about it, but I'm not going to get involved in the social media stuff. I did get involved in social media right before Game 7, and I said, I do not care who wins. I just want one side to be completely devastated and gutted. And I got my way. And I almost got my way twice. Almost got my way 3 times. over and over again. The Dodgers almost devastated themselves multiple times. Obviously, whatever happened to the Blue Jays was horrific. And I don't know if that makes me a bad person, but I think that this is just how it goes, man. Blue Jays fans.
If this had ended the other way, like I had tweets queued up about how the Dodgers deserved as much criticism for their sloppiness as we got last year for our sloppiness.
True.
There was a lot of garbage in this series. In the final game, a ball, a drop at third, Max Muncy, bad D. Teoscar sliding, couldn't cut one off, bad D. Like just tons of strange brain farts. And it was just as bad a performance as what we did last year against them. Of course, no, it wasn't. They saved themselves.
Yeah. The difference there is the big game experience, the clutch factor, and, it's the fear factor, really. Like, they're never really going to go away, and you better tack on that fourth, fifth, or sixth run, because if you keep it within 2 or 3, it's not going to be enough. But for Blue Jays fans, look, like, I'll let the fighting happen online. It is what it is. I'll be a bystander and enjoy the content. I'm not typically a fan of players coming out and shit talking, but Cam Schlittler was dragged by multiple fan bases this year for no reason at all, just simply for existing and pitching well. As for Blue Jays fans, one comment on this, and that'll be that. You're just crazy. You're crazy for thinking you're the victim. You're crazy for the coping that's going on. You were there every step of the way for every Yankees elimination, regardless of time and place and whatever it was. And I see it all the time. I see it every year. You are among the first fan bases to do victory laps. You're among the first fan. It's at this point, you're doing yourselves a disservice by really rivaling yourselves in terms of shittiness when it comes to Red Sox fans. So from a Yankees fan perspective, again, like I'm a Yankees fan, and that's how I'm gonna view different fan bases through that lens of how am I treated, or what are they doing in their spare time. And Red Sox fans and Blue Jays fans use an awful lot of their free time to dunk on the Yankees, regardless of if they're involved or not. And we saw it right after this World Series because, of course, Blue Jays fans keyed themselves up to get trolled by the worst of the worst Yankees fans. Yeah. And that happened after Game 7. And then what are Blue Jays fans do? Who did we beat on the way to the World Series, though, dude? We're 1-0 against the Yankees in the playoffs for lifetime. And it's like, yeah, man, but you also just suffered the worst loss, again, arguably ever. And I don't know when you're going back, because the roster is about to change. I commended the Blue Jays a lot for their work this year. This roster and performance is not replicable. It's just not going to happen next year. This is why getting to the World Series and capitalizing on the moment is so important, because as cliche as it sounds, you do not know when you're going to be back. The Dodgers know when they're going to be back. They've been there 5 times in 9 years. The Yankees are the next closest thing to the Dodgers in terms of name recognition, roster, money, whatever you want to call it, and they have no idea when they're going to be back. So you think a team like the Blue Jays, who literally they haven't been there since '93 and they made it back for the first time, that you think they're going to know when they're going to be back? All these other flash in the pan teams, the Diamondbacks in 2023, the Nationals in 2019, who was 27? The Cubs and the Guardians in 2016, the Royals in 2015. Like, you do not know when you're going to get back, so you need to capitalize on the moment. And the Blue Jays didn't. And the coping from John Schneider said. John Schneider was largely well spoken throughout this whole World Series. I thought his in-game interviews were great. His post-game interviews were great. He's made me like him a little bit more because again, we watch Aaron Boone all the time, and it's just fumbling over words and lack of clarity and clearly hiding something every single time. John Schneider was very forthcoming, but then in the post-game interview for Game 7, he's saying we had an opportunity to sweep them, and it's like, no, you didn't. That was never on the table. Like, you got dog walked by Yoshinobu Yamamoto in Game 2. That it was over, but the sweep possibility was over the second game into the series. And I don't even know how he would look at that Yamamoto start and think that they had the capability of sweeping them. If the Dodgers had come back, if the Blue Jays had come back, punched back in Game 6 and, maybe chase Yamamoto from the game or put up a better performance, I'd say, oh, maybe he had a point. Like, they got to Yamamoto the second time. Maybe it was just a bad game plan the first time. No, it's like the series went to 7 games. You lost the 18-inning game, which I don't know if I'm calling that an opportunity to win that, because you gave away both teams gave away opportunity after opportunity. So that was a coin flip to me. And game 6, you were never in it until the 9th inning, and then you dropped the ball with bad base running. So that's a crazy comment. And then, the Toronto media after the fact, or the Canadian media, I guess Sportsnet is all of Canada. I thought it was just Toronto. I don't know. It's labeled a Canadian media outlet, but just as ridiculous as they were, the Blue Jays broadcast team and the Sportsnet team over the last few years with the Yankees in terms of responding to Michael Kay, criticizing the Yankees when the Yankees were not even involved in said conversation on broadcast, weren't even the opponent on the TV screen, accusing Aaron Judge of cheating and telling the players to throw up and in on him. Like, the behavior here is ridiculous. And then after this one, you have Caleb Joseph saying the better team did not win, and the Blue Jays may have played better. But again, you're not going to convince me they're a better team than the Dodgers.
Dodgers are the better team no matter who they are matched up against. That's going to be true for the next 5 years.
Yeah, the Blue Jays might have comprehensively been maybe a more aesthetically pleasing team to watch over the 7 games, but look what the Yankees did. The Yankees technically outplayed the Dodgers last year in the World Series. Technically. I don't subscribe to that, but if you look at the statistics, they outhit the Dodgers. And it came down to a couple managerial decisions, and it came down to a few defensive blunders that flipped the script in that one. Blue Jays did the same thing. So you are not the better team, because if the Yankees were the way worse team last year and they still got enough done offensively to theoretically keep them in that for a 7-game series, and the Blue Jays definitely weren't the better team. To me, it's the Blue Jays were riding a heater, and they were getting unlikely performances from every corner of the roster, and they had every opportunity to win, and they didn't win. And it's crazy to think that merely makes you the better team. Oh, well, we had the better stats, so we're better. It's like, you had the better stats and you lost. So what happened in between the mini battles? You made poor decisions here, and here. You didn't execute here, and here, and that's the difference between a good team and a great team. And again, I think the Blue Jays are a very good team. I said last episode, very jealous of how they constructed their roster, how they were able to meld this team chemistry together year over year, going from worst to first, and then from becoming a contact-oriented team and flipping the modern-day baseball game on its head with their approach and the camaraderie and all that. You pissed it all away, and there's no excuse to be had. You can go revisit every play that you want. You can go revisit every incident. You can go revisit every decision. You can go all the way back to Game 3. Like, was it Lucas or Jimenez just swinging at balls 3 and 4 from Clayton Kershaw?
Yeah, Lucas with the bases loaded. Clayton Kershaw didn't throw a strike in that.
No, didn't throw a single strike. And then you go back to Game 6, you have the base running blunder. You go to Game 7, there's all those close calls. The IKF explanation for the lead, I get it, and I also don't, because nobody was covering third base. So how are you going to get doubled up if you're taking an extra step and a half?
I'm asking for some energy for IKF. I understand you don't want to get doubled off, but can we run home like this is maybe the winning run of the World Series and not a drill on the backfields at spring training? Like, a hop in the direction of home plate, some momentum moving in the right direction. Don't slide.
The feet first slide is correct. I don't agree with the sliding thing. Everyone's saying sliding slows you down. If you slide head first and are able to control it, like, you can't control the movements with your feet as accurately as you can your hands. So you should always probably be on a bang play where you need to beat the throw. It should be a head first slide, and like you said, the secondary lead needs to be bigger. The initial lead needs to be bigger. If you want to insure against either one or the other needs to be bigger, like, especially in that scenario. So a lot of what ifs there. And then somebody pulled up this crazy historical overview of Dalton Varsho's batted balls. He was the one at the plate for that hit to Miguel Rojas. He has had, I think, 1,600 plate appearances with either his career or the Blue Jays. That's probably his Blue Jays career, right? Because he's been there for 3 years. No, you can't do 1,600 in 3 years, can you?
Plate appearances?
Yeah.
Yeah.
500 a year?
I mean, it's what a healthy person would do, although he's missed a lot of time, so I'm not sure.
See. It might be his career, but either way, no, I mean, yeah, no, it's his career. Oh no, it's since 2022.
Yeah,
I believe. So that was his first full season as a member of the Arizona Diamondbacks. He had 4 balls hit to the third baseman on a line drive, and 2 of them were like jam shots. So they weren't like hard hits. So in theory, if the ball was popped up to the third baseman or popped up to the left side, IKF would have been able to read it quickly and get back to the bag. 2 of the other ones out of 1,600 plate appearances were like line drives to the left side. I understand you're probably not keeping those statistics in your mind in World Series Game 7 when you're just trying to play it safe, but that's an insane statistic that either went overlooked or just wasn't paid attention to enough in that moment to really emphasize the importance of IKF getting off the bag regardless of what the contact was.
Just hit the ball in the air, Dalton Varsho. I mean, we have done a lot, and by we, I'm not going to throw you into this. I have done a lot of ragging on Dalton Varsho on this show. But when push came to shove, worst player on the field in Game 7 of the World Series was Dalton Varsho, and he came up in a number of big moments and ultimately cost his team, and many Blue Jays cost their team a shot at the title, but so did he with that horrific at-bat with the bases loaded and a rollover grounder to second. If Miguel Rojas fields it cleanly, then IKF is out no matter what he does. But you want to put pressure on the fielder who is feeling pressured, who is stumbling backwards, and the way that you do that is by treating that out with all the intensity in the world, full bore, secondary lead, hop step, whatever it takes. IKF looked like he was just going through the motions there. And you're not going to be able to rebut those allegations because it's on tape. We saw what we saw. I understand you've been instructed to play close to the bag. Maybe Addison Barger getting doubled off second the night before, like a buffoon, played a role in that. They told you to be super careful.
Absolutely.
But, man, you got to play a little bit more aggressively than that with the game on the line. Although, again, how about Jeff Hoffman? Just don't give up a game-tying home run to Miguel Rojas. Don't get yourself into a full count situation where you have to come over the plate with something. You come over with a slot breaking ball. Your home run bugaboo returns. He hits one out to tie the game. One of the most absurd. A Rajai Davis level home run. The Blue Jays had a chance to invalidate it. They didn't. Again, I'm not going to come after individual fans. That was devastating. That is the single worst championship loss. I feel awful for everyone who has not interacted with me online. Those people, like, again, they are the first to the line if the Yankees suffer a devastating defeat. And then they have the audacity to be like, how are you still thinking about us? Aren't you the Yankees? We're allowed to do whatever we want. But no matter what Yankees fans do, if they keep quiet and lose, then it's embarrassing. If they talk trash after losing, it's embarrassing. Like, nothing, Yankee fans can't do anything to make these people think they're not embarrassing. That's the way it is. There's a media ecosystem built on last year's team that lost in the World Series being chokers. People, no matter where you are, whatever side of the media empire you're on, if the Yankees blow a big game, you're going to come around and talk to them. That does not exist for the Blue Jays, Red Sox, any other team in Major League Baseball. The Dodgers are close, but something tells me if the Dodgers had lost that World Series, I don't think there would have been an entire empire built on the world telling them that they choked. It's kind of a Yankees-specific thing. The one thing I can't believe, and the one person I will come after, is Caleb Joseph, who I understand the emotions that you're feeling in that moment. And I understand.
But, like, should he be feeling emotions too? He's a broadcaster. He's that's the other thing.
No, probably not. But look, I as a fan, I understand the urge to lash out and say this isn't fair and the universe didn't give us what we deserved or whatever. But Michael Kay this summer was also speaking from an emotional perspective, a fan perspective. And the confusion that he felt was the confusion that Yankee fans felt. How are the Blue Jays doing this? Their run differential does not look like a first-place team. Why are they beating the Yankees head-to-head? What advantage do they have? How do we solve this? Michael Kay never said, this Blue Jays team stinks. Let's face it, this Blue Jays team just flat out stinks. Buck Martinez said that about the Yankees. Actually, so if you want to play that hand, but that's actually the Reuter comment came from a Blue Jays source about the Yankees, not a Yankee source about the Blue Jays, but whatever. Michael Kay got on the radio and basically said, this doesn't look like a first-place team to me. The run differential doesn't match up. How did they keep getting the better of the Yankees? I don't know. Blue Jays fans were personally offended by that. But Michael Kay's main argument was, I don't care what the scoreboard says. I don't get it. By the end of the year, this is probably going to even it out. And Blue Jays fans basically just said, scoreboard, we keep beating you. We're leading the standings. We're ahead of you in the East. We go into the playoffs as number 1 seed. What more do you need to see? And that's valid. It's really hard to argue with scoreboard, right? We play these games to win and lose. Championships, individual games, pennants, what have you. Blue Jays won the division. Blue Jays won more games in the postseason series. Scoreboard. Again, Toronto fans set the precedent that was just indisputable. Like, scoreboard, we won all of these things. You did not, so therefore your argument's invalid. And then we get to the World Series, and suddenly Caleb Joseph wants to talk about nuance, wants to talk about something that's not on the scoreboard. Scoreboard is Dodgers 4, Blue Jays 3. Dodgers won the World Series, won more games. Caleb Joseph wants to say the Blue Jays outplayed the Dodgers, suddenly wants to bring nuance into this conversation after Blue Jays fans spent the whole second half of the year being like, what does the scoreboard say? And, I mean, Caleb Joseph's point, again, comes from a time when a lot of fans are feeling despair, and he said, I don't give a shit if you think this is sour grapes or whatever. His point is just unbelievably invalid. The Blue Jays outplayed the Dodgers through Game 5. You have to win one more game to win the World Series. They did not outplay the Dodgers for more than a single inning for the rest of the series in 6 and 7. They had a miracle rally thwarted in the 9th inning of Game 6, thwarted by second and third no out, first pitch pop out by a blooper that they couldn't read. You know, say what you will about the ball getting lodged under the fence. It was lodged. By the letter of the law, it's lodged. But even if it wasn't, right? Okay, one run will score. You got to get those other guys in. And what happened afterward, fallacy, the predetermined outcome, did not get those guys in. Game 7, the Bo Bichette home run gives them a huge advantage, but the Dodgers chip away. 1 run, 2 runs, go down by 2, Muncy homer, Miguel Rojas homer, in an extra innings, the Dodgers out-executed the Blue Jays. At no point in those final 2 games can the Blue Jays say they outplayed the Los Angeles Dodgers. They did. They got to the finish line. They could see it. And then the Dodgers outplayed them in the 2 games that were determinative of who was World Series champion. So it's just the most baseless thing you can say to say we outplayed. You outplayed them for the majority of the series, I guess. But when push came to shove, you lost the 2 most important games to them, and scoreboard, game over. So I have no patience or tolerance for that. And I haven't seen a lot of Blue Jays fans backing up Caleb Joseph. But the reality is when you get that stolen from you, it's gutting. You're looking for excuses. Michael Kay and Yankee fans were looking for excuses this summer. Why can't we match up with this team? Why do we get our lunch eaten by them? What do we need to borrow from them? You know, contact hitters, surprising power. What are they scouting at AAA? How are they finding Bargers and Clemens? And we can't find those guys. That's all valid, but you're flustered. And you're saying, on paper, this doesn't make sense, but it's happening in real life, so I have to reckon with it. Caleb Joseph is basically saying, what the reality I just saw does not match what I thought I should have seen. Fine. I think a lot of Blue Jays fans are going to say those 2 things are different, Michael Kay and Caleb Joseph. They are not different. Just because the 2 quotes struck different emotional chords with you personally does not mean they are different. You feel that one is valid and one is not. That does not mean they are different. And I thought that was a pretty unreasonable position to take. The Blue Jays came close to outplaying the Dodgers, but left some meat on the bone, and the champions came and got them.
I mean, we could say the same thing last year. Like, yeah, I saw a different thing in Game 1 of the World Series that turned everything upside. Like, I saw Garrett Cole going potentially 8 innings.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get that. I saw Gleyber Torres cleanly scooping a throw from the outfield from Juan Soto. I didn't get that. So to walk back, I saw Tim Hill coming in to face the heart of the Dodgers order, not Nestor Cortez. I didn't get that. So, like, you know, alternate realities. Yeah, we all live and hope to see what the favorable outcome will be, but like, again, it came down to the Blue Jays needing to tack on more and needing to execute in the most pressure-packed moments, and they didn't do it. They tacked on barely enough, and then they didn't come through when they needed to, and we have seen that plenty with our team. I'm not criticizing the Blue Jays for not coming through. It's a hard thing to do in the World Series, especially when you're going up a team as experienced as the Dodgers. Like, Those guys do that in their sleep. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, unfazed by anything in his path in the postseason. He's been conditioned to do that since he's been pitching in Japan. He's been in high leverage moments as a 22-year-old, like on the international stage, Olympics, World Baseball Classic, the championships in Japan. Like, he's been there. Freddie Freeman's been there, like, for a long time. Mookie Betts has been there for a long time. Even someone like Max Muncy, home run in the 8th inning. People are going to forget about that because it wasn't the sexiest moment of the World Series. Like, that counts. How about his clutch plays on defense throughout the whole time? Even though he isn't the strongest defender, he is ready for the moment.
Reaction time on the line drive. Like, the Blue Jays could have added on more. There was a run left on the board there where it could have been a double down the line. Max Muncy makes an incredible play in for the bunt. And I'm also going to say Muncy at the plate hits a foul tip for strike 3 to Alejandro Kirk in the top of the 4th with 2 on, 1 out. If Kirk squeezes that, the Varsho diving play ends that inning. Instead, 3-2, Muncy gets a second life, patient enough to take a close ball 4. It is ball 4, but again, in that moment, just because a ball is off the plate doesn't mean someone isn't swinging at it. In the heat of World Series Game 7, Muncy takes that one as it tails, takes the walk. The Varsho plays a sac fly. 1 run scored in that inning. Pretty important run, given the fact that this game goes to extras, is decided by a run.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's tough for everybody. There's all the moments in between the moments that we can cite. At the end of the day, though, it does get boiled down to you didn't get it done. And I think I honestly, truly think there could be a 12-hour podcast on this World Series.
Yeah.
Breaking down each game, breaking down, each quarter of each game, because there were so many outside of game 1, really, where the Blue Jays piled on a 9-run inning and that was that. You had 6 other games where, like, could have really gone either way. I know the Dodgers offense didn't show up, but the Dodgers also, threatened in those games that they didn't show. They also didn't get the job done. Like, there was a lot of puttering on their end. So I'm not victory lapping that Toronto lost, because again, like, that, where would I be if that happened? Like, I don't know where I would be. I'd probably cancel my cell phone plan. Yeah. And just, that would be it for me. I'd be wandering into the woods. I don't know, especially if you're talking a 30-something year drought of being in or near the World Series. Like, we're sitting here talking about the Yankees' 15, 16-year World Series drought. They made it last year after not making it since 2009, and that's felt like an eternity. And a lot of that is because the Yankees, again, are in a position to get themselves there better than most teams. So the fact that they continue to squander opportunity after opportunity, whereas these other franchises aren't expected to do that or don't have the same pressure on them to do that, that makes a 10-year drought feel like 25. So I'm going to laugh from afar for the people who, the Blue Jays fans who, again, relentlessly talk shit, relentlessly, throwing strays at people, Yankees fans or rival fans at all, left and right throughout the regular season. Didn't matter when it was. I will laugh at that because, again, like, it's now turned into, oh, well, we got further than you. Whereas, you know what happens if Yankee fans do that.
Yeah.
Oh, we got further than you. Oh, but what'd you do after that? Nothing.
Yeah. Imagine Yankees fans being like, we got to the ALCS. Like, we lost the World Series. That's not the goal, I don't think. They would get dumped on.
Yeah, I mean, we earned, think about this. The Yankees had top 3 offense in the league this year. Guardians had arguably bottom 3 in the league this year. The Yankees had 2 more postseason wins than them. So that's like us saying, Guardians fans, we got ahead an extra series and 2 more wins, and it's Guardians fans would just be like, yeah, and we batted like 204 and barely got into the play. Like, so it's just it's all nonsense, and we know exactly where we would be if the shoe was on the other foot. So yeah, Blue Jays fans are just gonna have to wear this for a while, and you got to deal with the Yankees fan trolls now. Again, we are not them, but you're going to have to deal with whoever they are. And we know the internet's a gross place.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're all coming for you, it's a little bit of a hint. You probably did something wrong at some point to get them to target you.
Yeah, which I guess I should take as a hint after I got rocked last year. But look, it's not fun, and you're gonna have to deal with it now. I'm not gonna tell you it just gets worse. Like the loss is heartbreaking enough,
Yeah.
and then it just gets worse. Like we are now in a world where people cannot stay in their own lane. If you're out there in the world talking about your team, you will be found by people who don't like your team, and nobody likes the Yankees. So welcome, right? It's not fun, but at least you're not the Yankees, and it's not going to happen to you if you lose in the first round next year or if you don't make the playoffs. No one's going to notice you. But it does make this World Series loss all the more worse. A lot of nonsense is going to come out about the Dodgers. Like, hey, look, they had the heart of a champion. They battled back an unlikely hero, Miguel Rojas, who, again, poured milk in Jazz Chisholm's shoes and bullied him in Miami in their clubhouse. So never been a Miguel Rojas fan, but he made play after play after play. So I guess tip your cap in saying that he was such a factor here. You're going to get dumb takes on like this Dodgers championship going back to back with the stars they have. And yes, they did throw 1 billion worth of pitchers in the final game. There's no one like Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and they had enough deferred Ohtani money to lure him. And I don't think you'll ever have a unique situation like that ever again, where a player with that amount of earning power has a friend like this whose arrival is predicated on him pushing some of his money elsewhere to lower the AAV. That will just never happen again. But it did happen here. Congratulations to the Dodgers that it did. But Miguel Rojas homered off Jeff Hoffman to tie this game in the ninth, right? That's what this series boiled down to. The Blue Jays win the series if Jeff Hoffman's a better closer after all of that. Right. So we're going to get so many salary cap takes. And well, this is why we're going to lose the season in 2027. And this is why we need a cap and floor. When in reality, like baseball, like it always does, came right down to the edge. Even the Dodgers with all the financial advantage in the world. And by the way, the Blue Jays had the 5th highest payroll in baseball, not poor people. It took every ounce of everything they had. And at the end, the game was predicated on the worst hitter in the lineup hitting a home run off a homer-prone closer. Maybe if there had been a salary cap, the Jays actually would have been priced out on signing Hoffman and could have signed a less homer-prone closer. Maybe a salary cap would help the Blue Jays, not the Dodgers. But do you think a Dodgers World Series is going to lead to rampant changes in Major League Baseball? I don't think we're ever getting a salary cap, but I do think we're going to have ridiculously annoying discourse next offseason, predicated mostly on a World Series that happened this season. That happened the way it did because of the lowest paid player on the field, most unexpected contributor possible, getting a hanging breaking ball from a closer who was probably overpaid and underqualified.
I literally don't know. All you know is this, right? As we've talked about a multitude of times here. The commissioner works for the owners. Doesn't work for anybody else. The owners have been wanting a salary cap for a long time. The way that they combat that, obviously, is by the top 10% of the best players get paid a shitload of money, and then everybody else gets ass, or everybody else is stuck under, everybody is. Every baseball player is subjected to this, but you have 6 years of team control where the raises and the payments are completely controlled and predefined, and they are it's not true capitalism if you want to talk open free market and all that. It's suppressing wages in a sense. So the system is designed again to reward the top players and to limit the damage that these owners are spending year to year. The qualifying offer is a fancy way to pretend like the players have some leverage because it's what the average of the top 50 salaries or 25 salaries or something on an AAV basis. And then you look at the qualifying offer, and the qualifying offer is actually not good because it attaches draft pick compensation to the players, and then it could hinder their market in terms of what they're going to get paid. And if they decline the qualifying offer, they don't get that money, and then they're not guaranteed to get that same average annual value on the open market. So long story short is this. The Dodgers have nothing to do with the salary cap conversation. The salary cap conversation has been going on for a long time. It's just a matter of, is it going to happen this time? And this time is probably more crucial than all of the other previous instances because baseball has arguably never been more popular. at this rate in terms of, kind of the lull they dealt with over the last 10 years, the like whatever pre-COVID, 10 years pre-COVID. So it's a tough conversation because you don't want the work stoppage because that is going to halt the game's momentum. You don't necessarily want a salary cap because that's going to hinder spending, and we know that spending makes the world go around. But it's going to come down to what the owners want, and it's going to really, really boil down to, do the owners want to get their financial way for the next 10 years, or do they want to kind of cut off their momentum at the knees at this rate? But that said, I don't think the Dodgers doing this changes anything. The Yankees have been abusive spenders for 2 decades, ever since the end of that 90s dynastic run. They went and they were paying people left and right. And that's really when like the floodgates of free agency began for a lot of the bigger market teams who were willing, free agency, the dam in free agency really truly broke in the early 2000s. That was when you saw real money getting thrown around. It wasn't the 90s. It wasn't the 80s. Free agency started in the 70s. Like, it took decades for this to get built up. What needs to change, I think what needs to lead the conversation is the money deferrals, because obviously the Dodgers gamed the system, rightfully so, with the Ohtani contract. The problem isn't the cap. The cap is to, again, save owners money. That's all it is. It's to put more money in their pocket and to avoid having the players get paid the most money that they possibly can. Look at the NFL. You have running backs making $3 million a year, and they're getting pounded every play. All it takes is one hit. Their career's over, and they made a grand total of, actually, it was $1.7 million, because when we released him with a June 1st designation, it saved us $1.3 million.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a break. So I really don't think the World Series win will be the catalyst for this, especially because the World Series went to 7 games, and again, flip a coin, the Blue Jays could have won that World Series just as easily as the Dodgers did. They could have swept it, according to John Schneider. And if you look at all the other teams that faced the Dodgers over the last couple of years, right? The Mets lost 4-2 in the NLCS last year. The Phillies lost 3-1 in the DS this year. Who was the other big market team that faced them last year? Was it who'd the Dodgers face in the DS last year?
The
Padres, another team that spent a lot of money. All the teams that a lot of the teams the Yankees last year, the Dodgers are also beating teams that spend a ton of money. So it's not like they are this one team on the mountaintop saying, "Oh, we spent $375 million. All you other peons spent $140, and we're beating the hell out of you." No, they are beating the Steve Cohen Mets, who had the highest payroll in the league last year and this year. They beat the $300 million payroll Yankees, who had the third highest payroll in the league last year. They beat the Phillies, who have, 4 of the biggest names in the sport on their team, and they have multiple $300 million contracts on their books. So it comes down to the deferrals and any other sneaky ways that these teams can circumvent the rules. The salary floor is never happening. I think everybody should just know that. The salary floor is never happening because that's going to force the owners to spend more. And if there's no cap, then they will maybe feel inclined that they'll have to do more in the event, the floor being 120, 40 million or whatever it is not enough to get them to where they need to be. So, I think that there needs to be a change in just within the financial rules of the governing body of Major League Baseball. But if they didn't instill a salary cap when the Yankees were abusing it 15 years ago, 20 years ago, to the degree that they were, there's no way that the Dodgers are everyone's waking up now to say, "Oh, salary cap. MLB needs salary cap because of the Dodgers." It's like, no, they need to fix some of the nuances with these contracts. I don't, with as close as this was, and with all of the opponents that the Dodgers have faced, even over the last 5 years, like, they lost to the Diamondbacks in 2023 in the DS. Like,
Got rocked.
And
Started Lance Lynn. Got rocked.
And they're still not yet a dynasty. They won 3 championships in 6 years. Yes, like that's notable. But you saw what the Yankees have done in the 90s, which I think is obviously more significant than this. If the Dodgers were to win the next 3 World Series, I think we're having a different conversation. Back to back is not anything. Again, it might be once in a quarter century, but it's not unheard of. Teams have done it. Super Bowl winners have done it. Like it's not crazy.
People forget that 2022, like this is 2020 also.
Yeah.
This is a Dodgers team that has gone through a lot of iterations. This current one is by far the best, shiniest also. The 2020 World Champs was the culmination of Corey Seager, Cody Bellinger, Julio Urias, like a group that they didn't have Glasnow and Snell. They beat Glasnow and Snell, as Glasnow and Snell so kindly pointed out in the aftermath, like dancing around them. We couldn't beat them, LOL. Like, yeah, that reflects well on you guys. You guys were the weakest members of the rotation in this World Series, although they came up big in Game 7. The people who don't like the Dodgers because of that, and they don't like the Dodgers because the Ohtani loophole should probably not happen. If somebody wants to defer money because it helps the current or it helps their finances, there is mutual reason to want to do it, fine. But deferring money because it's going to drag down the AAV and drag down your luxury tax by like $40 million a year, it seems ridiculous. And some people are going to tell me it's not. It seems ridiculous. So 2 championships in 2 years. The third one in 6 years, wildly different core, wildly different crew.
Yeah, it's a good reminder for everybody. And I hate the salary cap in the NFL just because there's always shady stuff that goes on, like whether you can write off certain stuff with signing bonuses or you can backload contracts. Like that all will change. Teams will just, like in baseball, you can't backload contracts. You just you can defer the money, which is technically a backload, but whatever the dollar figure is on the contract, you divide it by the number of years, and that's a luxury tax hit. So you can't be like, oh, this guy's getting a $1 million salary for this year, so we can save money under the luxury tax, and then he can get a $27 million one. It's not how it works, which I learned actually a couple weeks ago. But there's always going to be ways, if they institute some sort of cap for a team like the Dodgers or a team like the Yankees or a team like the Mets, to circumvent it. So you might as well just have no cap, fix the deferrals, and then everyone will be able to spend as they need and get their way in some capacity. In my opinion, it's bad for baseball if Shohei Ohtani doesn't go to the highest bidder. Mm-hmm. It just is. It's bad for baseball if there's not all this market competition for third baseman that are a shortstop that we saw a few years ago. It's just bad for baseball.
It's bad for baseball if players don't get to do what they want to do. Like
that too.
I wish Shohei Ohtani and Yoshinobu Yamamoto weren't teamed up. I wish Yamamoto was on the Yankees, but there were people genuinely arguing like they shouldn't have been allowed. They should not have been allowed to finalize that Yamamoto deal. You should be able to ban players from going to the destinations. Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm sorry. The Dodgers are really appealing. I'm sorry they're so appealing, but I'm not going to stand here and say, you got to bounce that contract. He can't go where he wants to go. And I would imagine we'll never know. But let's say the league tells the Dodgers ownership, you can't defer the Ohtani stuff. We're going to count the AAV. It's going to be, just as it were if you weren't deferring the money. And your tax bill is going to be $80 million higher if you sign Yoshinobu Yamamoto. I think ultimately Dodgers ownership would have gotten together and been like, fine. Like, they probably would have also done it. They would have kept they would have given those players what they wanted because they try to win. And sometimes it works 2 years in a row.
Yeah, and remember, one last thing on the salary cap that is important for everybody to know is that salary caps still benefit the biggest markets. Because if Team A from Los Angeles and Team B from Milwaukee are forced to spend the same amount in terms of the highest dollar amount on, because you see like quarterback contracts in the NFL, they keep going up, but they're eventually capped. Like you can't just give an $800 million contract to Patrick Mahomes. It doesn't work like that. So if it's coming down to two teams that, and I'm just giving a number as an example, comes down to two teams who can offer $300 million to a certain player with the salary cap, where is that player going to choose to go? It's not Milwaukee. It's not Kansas City. So, like, with no cap, the Royals benefit by being able to give Bobby Witt Jr. $200 and something million in his arbitration years because A, they can pay him a shitload of money without consequence, and B, they can convince him to stay before another team says, oh, Bobby Witt, here's $500 million. Like, that's the other angle of the salary cap that will just continue to benefit a team like the Dodgers or a team like the Yankees for this podcast argument's sake. So I don't know what the next steps are. I think the deferrals need to be fixed, and then we'll be fine, and the world can operate happily.
I think so. We'll hopefully have to wait a year for this. I don't really want to talk about this until we have to, but there's going to come a time when we have to. The Yankees offseason begins now. More decisions will be made in the weeks to come. Hopefully we actually get some small transactions, even if it's just minor league transactions we never see. The players never see the light of day. Still, we love talking about that stuff. Today, all that happened was some very obvious decisions became official. Cody Bellinger did opt out. Ha-Seong Kim opted out of his Braves deal. That is a potential shortstop solution. I like that one. Edwin Diaz opted out of his Mets deal. You want to go Boffo in the bullpen? That is an option for you. The early Bellinger rumors all come from John Heyman. Unsurprisingly, Bellinger is a Scott Boras client. Scott Boras did not like how much Bellinger wanted to be a Yankee in previous seasons, so it's no surprise that the early rumors are it's going to be slow because Scott Boras does want to drum up as much competition as he can, and he was unable to do that in previous offseasons because the demands were too high. The Yankees didn't have a need. And last year, the trade market basically funneled Bellinger to one place. So there he went. And Boras obviously was like, he's been telling me Yankees forever. I don't know. I wasn't, whatever. What am I going to do? So he's going to do all he can to make this process slower than the previous ones. It was slow 2 years ago when he signed his deal with the Cubs. It'll be slow now. And the rumored competition is the Mets, Dodgers, and Phillies. Even Heyman in the piece acknowledged that the Yankees' pursuit will, quote, at least take some time. So everyone's sort of saying, yeah, most likely outcomes he does come back to the Yankees. The Mets, they watched his best performances firsthand this year. The Dodgers, I don't see a reunion, especially if they're going to go after Kyle Tucker, which they will. And the Phillies, there will be a lot of shakeups in Philadelphia. I guess I wouldn't be stunned if they just went way overboard and offered like 180 or 200 million. But I don't think the Mets would do that. David Stearns and Steve Cohen even is on record that we don't want to do unsustainable spending, giving a crazy dollar amount to Bellinger to put Soto's 800 million plus Bellinger's 220 million plus Brandon Nimmo's money in your outfield is the definition of unsustainable. The Mets sucked last year. Bellinger is not the answer to their problems. So I would still say it's like Phillies do something insane or the Yankees get this done. And the real question is price. But we may be writing Bellinger rumor articles until February, which is the worst, but it could happen.
Yeah, classic Boras client. And again, like a limbo Boras client, right? Cody Bellinger is a very good player, but when you are reaching this age and you're asking for 5 or 6 years or whatever it is and over $150 million, which I'm sure it is, everybody gets hesitant, and rightfully so, because you don't want to wildly overbid for a player of that age and with a decline on the horizon. And we've already seen the worst of Cody Bellinger. I don't think it's going to return, but that's in the back of your mind. Oh, he can become a strikeout machine and make no contact. And that can happen in 2027. And then this contract looks terrible. But yeah, with Boras he's going to milk this as long as he possibly can. He's going to keep these few teams involved. My prediction is the Phillies figure out a way to move off of Harper, pay Bellinger a little bit more, pay Schwarber a little bit more, and then they have their flex option in Bellinger playing first and outfield competently. They keep the lefty bat. They get rid of Bryce. I really think Bryce is moving just after all that stuff. It might not be the Yankees. I would like it to be the Yankees. I'm actually fairly confident it probably won't be the Yankees just because we know how they operate. The front office operates. Every time we ask for something, we don't get it. Doesn't matter. We'll get the opposite. We'll get somebody else they deem to be a Bryce Harper derivative. And
Alec Boehm.
Yeah, exponentially worse option. But
we made a Phillies trade. Oh, my God, that's incredible. Welcome your new third baseman. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. The market for Bellinger is super limited. Like you said, the Mets spending that money for him is a little bit crazy again, unless he's like Pete Alonso's replacement at first base. But are we really viewing Bellinger as a full-time first baseman right now with the capabilities that he still has in the outfield? I don't know. Expect it to be an annoying Yankees offseason because it's either the Yankees are going to get stuck with this dragging into January and they're still not going to have the answers that they need, or they're going to pivot quickly and go for other options that are either, hey, you know what? I'll hold out some hope. There are other options out there. There's Stephen Kwan, who I don't believe as a pound for pound replacement for Bellinger, but it's a replacement nonetheless. I wouldn't hate re-signing Trent Grisham. I also know that's not a Bellinger replacement, but it's a personnel retainment that can squeeze Bellinger out. I think we want to see more of Spencer Jones and Jason Dominguez. It wouldn't be a bad thing. Do I want them over Bellinger? No, I don't. But there are palatable options. Just don't want the Yankees doing something dumb. I don't know who else is even out there for them to make a dumb decision, but we've seen it happen before. I will probably do more brushing up on my free agency before it all set. Free agency officially starts on Thursday, right? Well, like you're allowed to sign with teams on Thursday. Right now, everyone officially became a free agent. It was Bellinger who opted out, Grisham, Goldschmidt, Luke Weaver, Devin Williams, Ahmed Rosario, Austin Slater, Paul Blackburn. So that's that. I don't know if any of those guys are going to get retained. Very much feels like to me the Yankees are going to want to go blank canvas after all that's happened.
Mm-hmm.
Devin Williams let them down big time. I just don't see that as a reunion. Again, that's a bad Yankees thought that I have, where they think they can get him for under market value, and they find that to be something good for the payroll, which I don't know why. I don't oppose bringing back Luke Weaver, but the way that he fell off is just like now you're digging yourself out of a hole in a rebound year in New York, and it's just New York's not the place to rebound, man. It's just not. Ryan Yarbrough was the other one. I like Ryan Yarbrough returning. I think that's a good fit. I like Paul Goldschmidt returning as a platoon bench veteran voice option. I think that's a good fit. Whatever of Bellinger, Grisham, take with it what you will. But yeah, free agency, officially everybody became free agents today, and now there's a couple more days until people can people can start signing on the dotted line, but I don't know who's going to do that early.
It's crazy to say that I feel like Ryan Yarbrough has the best chance of return of anyone other than Cody Bellinger, but I kind of do. Stay tuned with us for the rest of November. Plenty of important dates. Rule 5 protection, non-tender deadline ahead of the winter meetings, December 8th through 11th. I think that's when you'll get the Hall of Fame class. Might be Don Mattingly. The start of the Hall of Fame class, the Veterans Committee. Might be Don Mattingly, might be Roger Clemens, might be Gary Sheffield. Probably not going to be any of those people, but, all on the table. And then you will get the draft lottery and myriad signings. So stick with us. We're going to be going live at irregular times that week, not regular times. One trade that I can't stomach, no Jazz Chisholm trades. Please just do not do it.
What is it? I don't even know what this is.
Well, it's an SNY thing. People just started to suggest that if the Yankees aren't going to extend Jazz Chisholm, they should maybe trade him. And I will say, I think you can sit in the middle here. The Yankees are a big market team. They are the Yankees, right? So just because they have someone who is a star on an expiring contract does not mean they need to automatically be eyeing trades. Their goal is to also win the World Series. In the same way that the Tigers could trade Tarek Skubal for a haul, but also should just go try to win the American League and win the World Series. The Yankees are the Yankees. They should build around Jazz Chisholm. If they can't come to a conclusion on a new deal, it is what it is. They'll say goodbye. That's the point when you have to think about how do we fill that hole, but don't make that hole. You have a guy who went 40-40 in his first calendar year with the Yankees and 30-30 in the 2025 season and is a Silver Slugger finalist. At second base, the alternatives are trading for Brandon Lau, who just is worse and older and also is not a long-term plan. And they traded Rock Riggio for Jake Bird, so there's no long-term second baseman in the system. Maybe it's Jazz, maybe it's not. Maybe it's something you have to figure out after 2026. Maybe you're worried about the salary cap. You don't know what's going to be in the CBA, but for now, keep Jazz, win baseball games. It's not really a debate.
This is small. And again, I don't know what the value Jazz is going to have with 1 year left on his deal. To me, the only option is if you're not having a great 2026, which I think is totally on the table for the Yankees. And Jazz isn't playing all that great and you know that the relationship is ending, then flip them at the deadline. But there's no reason to go into the season with a hole at second base where you have arguably the best advantage of anybody else in the league at that position, right? Like who is better pound for pound second base? And Jazz has his flaws, right? There's a lot of swing and miss there. The clutch at bats, like we still question from time to time. They're like we saw the playoff performances over the last 2 years, and they weren't exactly pretty. But I mean, it is what it is. Not everybody is going to be able to step up like that. That kind of mindset is of yesteryear, where again the Yankees had batters 1 through 9 ready to deliver at a moment's notice, and it's just not the game anymore. So I don't know why you would move off of 150 games of incredible production for, again, what are you getting? What's out there that you could trade for? Is my dream deal, or are you trading for Zach Neto? Okay, then okay, cool. Are you bumping Anthony Volpe off shortstop and making him a bench player? Okay, then yeah, if this is all part of a larger plan that's going to get the Yankees to a different level, then sure. But just like blanket saying, oh yeah, this is a trade candidate this off. No, like it's a trade candidate if there is an absolute can't turn down offer on the table. But it's not just, oh, let's get value for Jazz because we don't think we're going to extend him. It's like, no. Yeah. The Yankees are the only team that can say, like Juan Soto last year, we're going to trade for Juan Soto. We're going to pay him $30 million. Then we're going to see what happens next offseason. We lose him. We don't care. If we have him, we have Juan Soto for a year. Jazz Chisholm is not Juan Soto, but he's still a very good player making, what, $11 million this year? So, yeah, he should be staying here at in every scenario. In 94% of scenarios. I'll give you 6% that he's traded.
Yeah, there's like Stephen Kwan is another. Hey, if I'm the Cleveland Guardians, I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I'm 26 people in a whole front office. But if I'm the Cleveland Guardians and I'm trying to make trades for the future in mind, I'm not sure if Stephen Kwan is in my future, given what I typically pay and the fact that I need power. I don't have it, and I'm not getting it from Stephen Kwan. I need to get power hitting difference makers if I am Cleveland. There's a chance that Stephen Kwan can fit other teams better. There's a chance the Padres were interested. The Dodgers were interested. Like teams were calling at the deadline. So yeah, if I'm the Guardians, I'm making him available. I'm seeing what I can get. But the Yankees have no reason to make Jazz Chisholm available again in his final year. So I'll be beating the trade for Stephen Kwan drum all offseason. He's not a free agent until 2028. So you get him for 6 and 7. 6-7.
SNY proposed Spencer Jones for Stephen Kwan.
They sure did, which is where I was about to go, which I would absolutely do. I would do that. Guardians, if you want that, come talk to me and Anthony McCarron. We'll both try to make that happen. But that's a trade candidate where, yeah, it makes sense to go have that conversation. And that person was already talked about at this year's deadline, and now they'll be talked about again. Jazz was not floated this summer. He shouldn't be floated this offseason, whether he's secured beyond 2026 or not. And the Yankees have no reason to do that. We made it 59 minutes of show before we got a Blue Jays fan in the comments who called Aaron Boone Aaron Boner. That's the kind of stuff we're dealing with. That's for us, right? We should be calling Aaron Boone Aaron Boner.
We made it further in the World Series.
Yeah, they played better in the World Series this year against a completely different Dodgers team than you did last year under totally different circumstances. Wow, crown them. Crown the Blue Jays. Congrats on playing a different style of losing World Series. Got to give it to you. Yeah, Aaron Boner, we'll take that one, though. We're not going to credit you for that one. That's ours now. Yeah. We get to say that. You can come by if you want to, but that's for us. Plenty more on the Yankees Go Yard podcast this offseason. We promise we won't do any more 40-minute shows about the Blue Jays and Dodgers. Felt relevant, though. The Dodgers parade is today, November 3rd, by the way. Has there ever been a less buzzed about World Series parade? Could you imagine the Yankees winning the World Series on a Saturday night, the parade's on a Monday, and I find out as it's happening? That would never ever happen for basically any other fan base. LA, you are one of one. An LA team has not lost a championship round since, of course, 2018, where they lost the World Series to the Red Sox. Since then, the Lakers have won a title. The Dodgers have won 3 titles, soccer titles. If they get to the Rams, have a Super Bowl. If they get to the finals, they don't lose. So LA fans will come after you too. You don't get to be doomers. Some of you have been doomers in my mentions, being like, oh, we're not going to win game 6. Just blow me out. Get me out of my misery. No, you're the Dodgers. When you get to the finals, you don't lose. If you had lost, it would have been unique. It would have been a unique experience for you to experience championship loss. Instead, shocker, you get championship win. So no more complaining, all right? You're pretty close to a dynasty if you're not one already.
Me winning game 6? I don't think so.
That'll never. Poor old little of me. My offense isn't, of all Hall of Famers, isn't going to show up, are they? Probably not. Oh, they did once, but they're not going to twice. Oh, they did twice. What the heck? We're going to be here on the Yankees Go Yard podcast. The Yankees haven't been that good since 2009. Maybe next year is the year. A lot of power rankings have them like 4th overall. Love the pitching staff. I don't know how we got there. I commend everybody. They got way too many holes for me to be like, yeah.
Second highest odds to win the World Series next year.
Yeah, 4th best team in baseball for me. I see it. No, I don't. What?
They have 64% of a roster right now, and they have the second highest World Series odds behind the Dodgers. It's just none of it makes sense to me.
No, not even close. But this offseason is how we get to opening day. We get to decide whether or not those odds were earned or whether those odds were insane. We hope you follow us every step of the way. Every show after today, we'll have a lot more Yankees chatter and plenty more movement. Michael King, like, we didn't get to talk about him. We're going to talk about him. He gets a spotlight soon. Maybe he comes back. They are going to need some sort of veteran pitcher, and upside helps. 2 o'clock Eastern on Thursday. Tune in to the Baseball Insiders, too, for the reveal of the Silver Slugger winners. NL, 6 p.m. on Thursday. AL, 6 p.m. on Friday. That's where you get to find out if many Yankees, including the aforementioned Jazz Chisholm, Aaron Judge, the whole team might get an award. Cody Bellinger, no longer on the Yankees on a technicality, but he was last year, and he might get honored for that performance. So join us there in the Baseball Insiders as well as fansided.com and all the network sites across the Fansided network. You're going to be reading a ton of great content, including Yanks Go Yard, where the content is mid. I'm Adam Weinrib. You can find me on Twitter at Adam Weinrib. Thomas Carranante, where can the people find you?
Tommy's at _mid. Tommy's at _takes. Find us at the official Yanks Go Yard account at Yanks Go Yard FS. Like Adam said, yanksgoyard.com, mid content there for you to digest. Lots of news happening. It's going to be an avalanche for the next 6-7 weeks, I'd say. Probably up until you're leaving cookies out for Santa Claus. That's probably my deadline.
Even when you're doing that, when you're leaving the cookies out, there's going to be some movement. Like I
do remember Daniel Murphy signed with the Nationals on Christmas Eve.
Jose Trevino got traded for Fernando Cruz on like December 22nd last year. I didn't have the cookies out, but I was thinking about like what variety of cookies might Santa want, you know, like, can I get away with not putting them out this year? Can I just eat the cookies my damn self? Like I was thinking those things, and then we traded Jose Trevino.
Damn. Christmas ruined.
Christmas off. Friendship ended with Christmas. I open up every Christmas gift and it's different Jose Trevino gear. Like
Christmas
Trevino socks. Yeah, thanks, Aunt Carol. Trevino stirrups. Okay.
But you'll have plenty of mid content on yanksgoyard.com. Please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel as always. Christmas special coming up soon enough. Thanksgiving special. Who knows? You gotta have the notifications on so you know what's coming. Appreciate you guys tuning in and reading as always. Official end of the season, Saturday, 2025 in the books. We're looking ahead to 2026 starting right now. See ya. I guess soon.
And then we'll be back here on Thursday. There will be movement by then, I think. Take care, everybody. Catch up with us on Yankees Go Yard FS on Twitter and on the podcast feed where you'll learn more about when the episode will be uploaded. You'll see it and you'll go, oh, great, I subscribed and there it is. Turn on your notifications so you know when we're going live on YouTube. Until the next time, I'm Adam Weinrib before Thomas Carranante. Go Yankees. Sorry, Jays.